Hey, Rob here with ATX.Legal, and I'm going to talk today about how to choose a personal injury lawyer. You have a lot of choices. There's a lot of billboards out there, a lot of people on TV. If you go online, there's even more. We don't have any of those billboards, but we're one of those lawyers that you can find online. So how do you choose between us and another firm, or between the sea of personal injury firms that are out there? Well, first of all, unless you have an attorney on speed dial, I think you should shop around. So definitely check out 1, 2, 3, 4 attorneys, visit with them, do a Zoom call with them, talk to them. Make sure you're speaking with the attorney that's going to be handling your case. That's one of the first questions you should ask. Is this the attorney that's going to be handling my case, or is it going to be passed off to someone else? A second question you need to ask is about the fee structure, and go beyond the contingency fee. So everybody has a percent that they are going to take off of that final settlement. There's no fees up front for almost any of these attorneys, but they are going to take a contingency fee at the end. Go beyond that percentage and find out what expenses you're going to be paying for. And I'm going to talk about red flags in a second, and there are a few red flags to pay attention to when it comes to that contingency fee. Talk to them about their communication policy. Who's going to be updating you on their case? Are you going to get a regular update, or are you going to have to call every 3 months just to try and get a hold of your attorney? At ATX.Legal, we do return calls and text messages within 24 hours, a little longer on weekends, but typically we're going to get right back to you. If you have a question on your case, or if you just need to get an update, we'll get back to you within 24 hours. Make sure you ask about that, because there are times that attorneys do have trouble communicating with their clients on a regular basis. Ask your attorney how many of your cases go to trial versus being settled. And that's something where we're going to talk about in a second, which is understanding your own case, because certain cases are more likely to go to trial, other cases are more likely to settle. At ATX.Legal and at most law firms, 90% plus cases settle. It's just better for resources, it speeds the process. There are a lot of reasons that a settlement is preferred, but you still want to ask that, and ask that attorney, how often do you go to trial? Are you okay taking a case to trial? And making your decision not just on what they say and what their answer is, but also how they answer that question. And at the end of the day, go with your gut as well. Is this person being earnest and honest with you? And if you don't get that feeling, then maybe talk to some other attorneys and maybe go with an attorney where you do feel like you can trust that person. Now let's talk about some red flags when it comes to that contingency fee. So most attorneys are going to take a contingency fee between 35 and 40%. I've seen a lot of the big billboard attorneys that charge 42.5%, which is getting close to those limits as far as what's legally allowed. But every attorney takes a chunk of that settlement at the end of the day, because there are no fees up front. So what do you have to pay attention to when looking at that contingency fee? Well, look at what you're going to be owing in addition to the attorney fees, because in addition to that chunk and that 42% or 40% or 35% that's being taken out, you're also going to be on the hook for expenses. And I've seen attorneys that charge interest expense on loans that they are taking out to fund your case. That is very close to that ethical line that they are towing right up to that line and not crossing. So just pay attention to all those little details, and don't be afraid to ask, what is this expense? Why am I on the hook for a loan that you took out to fund my case? And maybe they have a good answer for that, maybe they don't. Most law firms, myself included, are not going to charge for interest expense. We're not going to nickel and dime our clients for every little expense, but there are firms out there that do that. And a lot of times you have to put yourself in their shoes. Why are they nickel and diming their clients? It's because they take that money and turn right around and spend it on advertising. And personal injury advertising is some of the most expensive advertising out there. So do you really want to be paying for their advertising? Probably not. So just have that in the back of your head whenever you're meeting with attorneys. Now, verify your attorney's reputation and their credentials. If you have a friend or a family member who has gone with that attorney. Here at ATX.Legal, we get a lot of our clients from referrals, because they know that we've done good work, and they know that their friends have gotten good work done for their case. So a good percentage and good chunk of our clients come in that way. But another way you can check is with Google reviews. Check not just the star rating, but also what people are saying about the attorney. At ATX.Legal, we have a perfect 5.0. So check out our reviews, but always try and get that outside source and be critical in thinking, okay, why were these people having a problem with this attorney? Is it because they can't get a hold of the attorney? Is it because they were told one attorney would handle the case and another attorney, a younger attorney, ended up handling the case? Why is it that these people are giving low reviews if there are any low reviews? But definitely check those out. You always want to see what other people are saying about that law firm. And finally, you really want to understand your case and understand the kind of lawyer that's going to be the best fit for you. Is it a case that you expect to settle? Is it a case that you expect to take to trial? And you might not know that answer, but you want to ask that attorney, why would this go to trial? Why would it be a good candidate to settle? And if it is a case where it's going to be going to trial or settling, talk to that attorney and see where their experience lies. Do they take a lot of cases to trial? Do they settle their cases? And at the end of the day, 90% plus cases settle. So it's not uncommon that you have attorneys that settle most of their cases. But you do want to understand the type of case you have. And if it is a case that's going to be going to trial, you'll want to see if that attorney has trial experience. Personally, at ATX.Legal, if it does look like a case is going to trial, I'm definitely associating in another counsel who's maybe a specialist with that area of law. And that's very, very common. The key thing to note there is that doesn't take away from any of your compensation. Your compensation remains the same. And the attorney fees would get split between multiple attorneys because sometimes cases are too big to be handled by one attorney. They really do need to bring in 2 or 3 attorneys who are handling that case to give it the attention it deserves. But just remember, that doesn't take away at all from your compensation. You're just getting the benefit of those additional attorneys and sometimes a specialist in the type of law that involves your case. Now, of course, none of this is legal advice, but if you are shopping around because you've been injured or you know someone who's been injured, you can always visit us at ATX.Legal or text us at the number above.